I'm with Anita Pandolfe Ruchman. Anita is a psychiatric nurse practitioner in private practice in Rockport, Massachusetts. Anita, these are such incredibly painful times. People are in forced isolation. We have all this economic uncertainty. And emotionally, I think people are really suffering. Could you offer some ways for people to cope in their daily lives with this? Some sort of practical methods?
Yes, I'd be glad to do that. In my work in this past month with my own clients, we talk about the best ways to get through these days of uncertainty. We can feel overwhelmed by loss and fear and just this heaviness that we don't even want to get out of bed. So one thing that's been very helpful for people is a gratitude practice. Now, what? Gratitude? The world's falling apart. But there are things inside of this tragedy that can uplift us and help us get through the day. So with the gratitude practice, when you wake up, you remember something that you're grateful for. Maybe it's the fact that you have a bed, or you have a bathroom, or you have food in your refrigerator, or you have each other. And so that's a way to start the day with a feeling of plus and not minus. So then I ask people to do that again in the middle of the day, when maybe the world feels like it's closing in on you. Then again, you stop and remember something that you're grateful for. And then again at night when you're in bed before you go to sleep. Now that might be a lot for people to carry out in these days, but they're practices, so there's something to reach for to find some benefit for yourself. Well, there's actually research about when people notice the things that they're grateful for, their mood improves. So it's actually, we've seen this work. But the other thing that we can do, no matter where we are, no matter what time of day, and probably over and over again, is, Heather, coming back to the breath. So I help people just come into this very moment right now, because there's so much going on up here, worry and dread and anxiety, and all the alarms are going off, you see. This is an alarming situation. Anxiety, I call anxiety an alarm. So we have reason to be alarmed, but we have to learn how to turn that alarm system down. And that's by eliciting the relaxation response or the calming response, which we get from coming back to our breath.
And what do you mean by coming back to our breath?
Well, because we're already breathing, the body miraculously breathes on its own. And so we're coming back to an awareness of the fact that we're able to breathe. We become aware of our breath, and when we're anxious, we tend to hold our breath and tense everything up. But what we actually want to do now is take a deep breath and then let it out like a sigh. So it's really okay. I want to give everyone permission to go throughout your day sighing. We have a lot to sigh about. And the sadness can gather across your chest, so you can put your hands here and kind of feel your own aliveness. Let that breath go way down into the belly, and then breathe it out. And you know, that expression, get a hold of yourself, well, this is really getting a hold of yourself and self-soothing. So these are things we can do for ourselves, is when we get that phone call or we see that next news report and, oh my God, come back to the breath.
Take a deep breath and then let it go. Yeah, I think that, you know, it's really interesting because COVID-19 is the suffering of our lungs, right? It's an invasion of the lungs. And I've been hearing some people speak about how we need to strengthen our breath to combat this, even preventively. So it means a lot for many reasons.
Yes, doesn't it? Yes. So the other thing I want to stress, Heather, is to remind people to ask for help. to seek help. Some of us, including myself, are living alone. And so that can be a very big challenge. We can't manage everything ourselves, perhaps. So we ask somebody, we reach out, we send a text, we make a phone call, we ask a neighbor that's walking by. We ask for help. Maybe you don't have a mask, and now we're being advised to wear masks when we leave our homes. So ask for that. Maybe you feel like you just need someone to listen to you and how worried you are. Reach out, let someone know. Write down your fears, express yourself. So asking for help, who are you asking? People who love you, people who you can connect with, people who you're living with, your friend circle, but also there's a spiritual aspect there. What was that expression we talked about earlier, the foxholes?
There are no atheists in foxholes.
Right. So even if you don't have a religion, spiritual practice, maybe you can still ask for help to the mystery, the great mystery of I don't know. We use that word uncertainty earlier, and what is the real mystery of how we're going to survive this? So praying to that, asking for help. Is anybody listening? I don't know. But as a small, frail human, I need help.
Those are really wise words. I want to return to something you and I were talking about before we began to record this, the difference between depression and grief. I think people might be feeling one or the other and they may not know it. Could you just talk about that a little bit?
Well, thank you. So some people before the pandemic recognized that they have are dealing with depression. So a persistent low mood, a hopelessness, inability to experience pleasure, and experience inability to complete tasks or find joy. Some people feeling hopeless, that their life doesn't have any meaning. So this is kind of clinical depression of varying stages that many of people I help with are dealing with this. Then we have a crisis on top of that. So many people have said to me, I'm so glad I'm already in therapy, or I'm have the help of an antidepressant. But there may be others of us who are feeling all of a sudden like, I've never felt this way before, pervasively so scared or anxious or fearful or irritable and short-tempered with my family, and this isn't who I want to be. So that's grief, that's loss, that's our sense of life as we've known it has been taken away. So we can still laugh, we can watch that funny movie, and we need to have comedy in our lives. That's where great comedy actually comes from, the challenge of these kinds of trying, sad situations. So it's important for us to honor our grief, but not get lost in it. So we talk about an oscillating method when I help people with grief, and that means you move away and then you come back. So you move away. For me, Robin Williams gets me all the recordings. He gets me laughing. And also what I want to offer to people is a practice of expression. So put on some music and dance out your fear, dance out your frustration, dance out your anger, and make some noise, sing, yell, we can't hold this all in our bodies. It's not good for us.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. Can we do this again? Because I know that I am craving conversations like this, and I'm sure others are too.
Well, I'd be happy to. And the nurse in me really wants to help people. And I'm also learning about balance. So maybe next time we talk about balance, because that's a very important word for our overall health and particularly our mental health. So maybe if you remind me of that as a theme.
I'm writing it down right now, Anita. Okay, so we'll maybe talk next week about balance.
Okay, and then can I just say something about the resources, or are you going to put those up?
No, yeah. Give people resources, and I will include them in the introduction, the text that introduces this video for everyone who's listening. But please, let's mention.
Okay. Well, first off, I said ask for help. So I'm going to give you the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It's 800-273-8255. So if you are feeling like things are hopeless and everyone would be better off without you, don't give up. You can talk to someone. These hotlines are there for you. There's also a statewide hotline sponsored by the Samaritans, 800-251-3223. I think all the others are going to be in the resource.
We'll have numbers in the resources too, in our list.
I wanted to give those so people could have something to call.
Great. Okay, let's talk next week.
Thank you. And everyone out there, don't forget, come back to the breath. Thank you.
Thank you.